Billionaire's son brings home a black woman, then shocking truth about her bracelet is revealed. The room gasped as the tall, striking figure of Zara stepped through the grand entrance of the lavish mansion. Whispers cut through the crowd, slicing up the evening air. The billionaire's son, Derek, stood beside her, his pride hanging heavily on his sculpted shoulders. But it was Zara's radiant skin glimmering under the chandelier's light, and the unusual bracelet sparking questions that stole the show. It was a delicate chain, but the centerpiece, a stunning black stone set in gold, seemed to pulse with a life of its own, darkly, enigmatically. Almost instantly, the air thickened. People looked on, curiosity morphing into disbelief. How could this goddess from a world so different dare to intertwine her life with theirs? The guests' eyes darted like fireflies, some filled with admiration, others shadowed by disdain. Yet all were captivated by that bracelet. What was it? Why did she wear it? Chatter intensified, voices crashing together in mumbled conjecture. Must be some kind of charm, she asked, not what they expected, is she? Look at that bracelet. So out of place, tension tingled in the air like static electricity, ready to shock. As Zara scanned the opulent space, a flicker of vulnerability crossed her face. The breath caught in her throat. She felt invisible chains tugging at her, held in place by judgment and scrutiny. Few understood this bond she shared with Derek, a link forged in a world so different from the glimmers of wealth around her. The bracelet, it was more than just jewelry. It was a legacy, a story she didn't know how to tell. But how could she? The more she felt the weight of their eyes, the tighter the lump in her throat became, and then the sound of laughter erupted, cynical, mocking. What is she doing here? A hushed voice muttered. Derek's jaw tightened, his protective instincts flaring. He leaned in closer to Zara, fear flickering in his chest. His head spun, wondering if his love could withstand the blast of unwarranted judgment, or if his dreams would crumble under the weight of his family's expectations. Just then, the air shifted. There was a commotion by the entrance as a newcomer stepped inside, a nod toward the past and a harbinger of secrets yet to unfold. Derek's eyes widened, locking onto the figure veiled in shadows. Who were they? What did they know? A sense of dread mixed with an electric thrill danced in the room. The tension reached its peak, hearts racing, breaths held. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Zara felt the jolt in the atmosphere as the figure approached. The air crackled around them, like the calm before an epic storm. What history lay behind those haunting eyes? A shiver trail ran down her back. Desperation clawed at her mind as she fought to stay composed. Would the truth of her bracelet finally break free? And was it strong enough to sustain the weight of her secret? Or would it shatter everything she hoped for? Zara stood frozen, her heart thundering in her chest. The shadowy figure moved closer, revealing a striking woman whose eyes gleamed with an intelligence that sent a chill down Zara's spine. A wave of recognition washed over her. It was Judith, the very woman who had given her the bracelet, a symbol of something precious, something dangerous. Zara. Judith's voice was smooth, each word deliberate. The room felt heavy, the air thick with uncertainty. I didn't expect to see you here. All eyes turned on them, the tension shifting like a living entity. Derek looked between the two women, confusion flickering across his face. You two know each other? His tone carried a note of anxiety, as if he were piecing together a puzzle that suddenly exploded into chaos. Let us just say we have a shared history, Judith replied coolly, a slight smirk creeping onto her lips. The edge in her voice was barely hidden beneath layers of polite elegance. And that bracelet you wear tells a story that's not just yours. Zara's breath hitched. Her mind raced back to the day she received the bracelet, a gift born from a long and complicated past that she had only begun to understand. "What do you mean?" she asked, dread pooling in her stomach. Judith stepped forward, her presence commanding as whispers surged like waves among the guests. "It was a family heirloom. It holds the power of generations. It's not simply jewelry, it's a connection to your roots." But before she could elaborate, the once thick atmosphere grew electric again, punctuated by a burst of laughter from someone across the room. An older woman with an extravagant dress, her painted nails waving dramatically, pushed past the cluster of gawking guests. "Oh, please! A power necklace? Don't make me laugh." Zara's cheeks flushed with a mix of anger and embarrassment, the way the room exploded with chatter confirming her worst fears. Judgments were already being cast like stones, ready to shatter any semblance of acceptance she sought among them. "Enough!" Derek cut through the rising tide of mockery, clenching his fists. "She's here with me, and I wouldn't let you treat her like this." A tremor of silence briefly wrapped around them, filled only with the sound of Derek's unresolved fury. Then Judith, unfazed, continued as if Derek hadn't spoken. "There's more to her than you think. You see this bracelet? It's a conversation starter, a key to unlock the hidden chapters of your lineage." Zara's heart sank. Could she bear the truth about her past? Derek looked at her, desperation dancing in his eyes as if begging her to unveil the mystery before things went too far. "Zara," he urged softly, stepping towards her. "What are you hiding?" But the weight of their stares held her back, made her nervous. Judith's presence seemed to loom larger, a reminder of all she had attempted to keep buried. The fear of exposing herself grew unbearably real. Above the quiet chatter, one voice suddenly broke through the noise, a sharp, bitter statement. "What's the real reason for her wearing that? Is she here for the money?" Zara felt heat wash over her like flames licking her skin, and the world around her began to swirl. Would Derek stand with her against this storm? Or was this where everything unraveled? "Maybe it's time for you to tell them, my dear," Judith whispered just above their awareness, an almost predatory glint in her eyes. "Before they find out the real story was waiting to come alive. Within its twisting shadows lay possibilities and peril that could change everything." Breaths held, hearts stumbled in rapid rhythm, and the night air pulsed with the promise of revelation. Would Zara have the courage to unveil the truth? Would she risk it all for the love she wanted? And what darkness still lingered in her past, ready to engulf them both? Zara's heart raced as the weight of Judith's words settled like a stone in her chest. Every eye in the room was upon her, and the air felt charged, crackling with accusations and whispers. She had come to this soiree hoping for acceptance, but now it seemed she was a pawn in a much larger game. "Maybe it's time for you to tell them, my dear," Judith said, her voice smooth yet taunting, nudging Zara dangerously close to the edge of her own fears. How had this woman managed to weave herself back into her life, and why was she suddenly the fulcrum tipping everything into chaos? Derek stepped closer, his expression a mixture of determination and concern. "Zara, please. If there's something you're not telling me, if there's more to this bracelet than I know." His words trailed off, thick with unsaid truths. With every heartbeat, the room felt smaller. She could feel the guests' judgment weighing heavily, that mixture of intrigue and disdain pooling at their tables like venom. Then came the laughter again, louder this time, drowning out the storm in her mind. "Look at her trinket," one sneered. "What does she think she is? Some kind of royalty?" Zara's grip on the bracelet tightened as memories fought for dominance. Her grandmother's stories echoed whispers of power, riches, and blood ties that could summon both love and wrath. She remembered her grandmother's warning, "Know your heritage, Zara. It's both a blessing and a curse." Judith's eyes sparkled as if they were linked by invisible threads, a puppet master ready to pull them taut. "What's stopping you?" Judith challenged, taking a step closer, her voice playing low, sweet, and dangerous. "Your legacy deserves a voice, darling. Don't let these people decide your worth. Take control." It felt like a mantra pulsing inside her head. Maybe it was time to face the music. Zara inhaled deeply, her stomach twisting. It's true. I got this bracelet from Judith, she finally said, her voice trembling but resolute. But it's more than a piece of jewelry. It's a symbol of survival, a reminder of everything my family went through. I wasn't born into wealth, like many of you, but Judith interrupted, her tones syrupy sweet. But what, love? You want their pity? Or their respect? It doesn't come easy. Zara shot Judith a furious glance. I'm not asking for anything. I'm stating the truth. This bracelet kept my family safe during dark times, and there are shadows connected to it that I'm still learning to face. This time, silence blanketed the room, and Zara felt the thrum of her heartbeat echoing in her ears. She locked on Derek's eyes, holding them for strength. I don't want to live in someone else's shadow anymore. I want my own story. But before she could continue, a voice rang out through the tension, sharp and accusatory. So you're an opportunist, then? Riding on the coattails of wealth? That voice, carrying disdain, was one she recognized. It was Helen, her former friend who tormented her throughout high school. A fury sparked inside Zara. It was like gasoline on a flame. I'm here because I'm more than just a bracelet. I'm more than what you say I am. She shouted, the words bursting from her lips like fireworks, catching the attention of everyone in the room. Judith clapped, a slow, mocking applause that heightened the weight in the air. Bravo, Zara. But be careful. Too many fireworks, and you might just set the whole place ablaze. What do you want from me? Zara demanded, her voice cracking now, a mix of frustration and fear, not just of Judith, but of all the lies looming over her like dark clouds. Judith stepped back, a look of satisfaction crossing her face. Oh, you have no idea. And just like that, the spotlight shifted. The echoes of past decisions rang louder, resonating with a truth that twisted and turned, threatening to unravel everything she'd just dared to claim. Would this revelation lead to her liberation or the destruction of everything she held dear? What dark secrets still haunted her family, ready to emerge at the worst possible moment? The air crackled not just with tension. This could be a turning point, a moment where everything changed. And as Zara took a deep breath, the realization surfaced. She was about to unleash something greater than herself, something that could shake the very foundation of her life. What lay ahead would reveal whether she could conquer the shadows or become yet another victim of her own legacy. Zara felt a sudden chill sweep through the room, palpable like a sudden gust of wind. All eyes bore into her, each look a blade piercing deeper into her core. She could almost hear the thoughts swirling around her, people eager for more. Their hunger for scandal and drama was insatiable, and she was standing right in the center of it all, exposed. Judith stepped forward, her smile like a shark's, gleaming with menace. You think you've taken back your voice, Zara? You have no idea how deep this goes. Her words slithered through the atmosphere, wrapping around Zara's throat like a noose. Just tell us the truth, Zara. Helen pressed, her voice sharp, shattering the thick silence. You're just some girl with a pretty piece of jewelry pretending to be important. What's your real story? The laughter rippled again, a wave washing over her, threatening to drown her. Zara's heart raced faster now, a wild drum in her chest. What was she supposed to do? Retaliate? Apologize? She glanced at Derek, searching for that safety net, that unwavering support. But what if he started to believe them? What if this was the turning point for him too? The fear gripping her like a vice was tightening, suffocating any rational thought. Enough! She finally exclaimed, desperation weaving through her voice. You think I chose this life? This moment? I was born into a history that's entangled with pain and survival. This bracelet, she waved it in front of them, a glimmer of defiance. It denotes a legacy, not a burden. Someone in the crowd snickered, and anguish pulled at her heart. Zara had to regain control. The stakes were too high. Derek's reassuring grip on her shoulder sent a spark of strength coursing through her. She took a moment, focusing on him, letting the warmth of his presence seep into her bones. Let me tell you the story of this bracelet, Zara began, her voice steadying, fostering the strength she needed. It belonged to my grandmother. A woman who fought through hell and high water just to keep her family alive, who was hunted for what she knew. This bracelet, it's not just a piece of jewelry. It's a symbol of resilience. It's all I have left of her. Whispers erupted around her, a mix of intrigue and disbelief. Zara pressed on, feeling the tide shifting slightly, drawing her audience back into the gravity of her words. There are secrets tied to this bracelet. Secrets that could ruin what you think you know about my family, about certain people in this very room. She met Judith's eyes, not backing down. Secrets that might reveal why I have it. You see, it's not just a necklace, it's a connection to a lineage that holds power and danger alike. As soon as those words flitted off her tongue, the room fell into an eerie silence. The murmurs ceased. Derek's eyes, wide with disbelief and curiosity, locked onto hers. What do you mean by that? Derek asked, leaning slightly closer, his breath hitching in anticipation. Zara could sense the shift in the room, the eager interest replacing disdain, but she still sensed the lurking shadows of doubt swirling around her. Judith smirked, but her gaze was now calculating, unreadable. Suddenly, there was a loud crash outside, a shattering noise followed by hurried whispers rippling through the crowd. Everyone turned, distraction taking hold. Zara felt something shift. What had been bubbling just beneath the surface seemed to erupt through the sudden chaos. Zara! Derek's voice broke through the tumult. What is going on? The explosion of a car horn blared, followed by shouting outside. Curiosity and alarm tugged at everyone as they rushed toward the windows. Stay in here! Someone yelled, though the urgency in their voice made it sound more like an instruction to abandon ship. Zara's heart raced again, though this time it was from fear of what was outside, what it meant for her unveiled truths, for her future. Was this chaos linked to the very legacy she was trying to reclaim? The mystery behind the bracelet was only beginning to unravel, and now, it felt as if danger was just at the threshold, ready to burst into the room. What awaited them outside? And what did that mean for the already precarious world Zara was trying to reshape? Her stomach twisted with dread. Something far greater than her past was lurking ahead. The shouting intensified, a cacophony of confusion and fear. Zara pressed closer to the window, her heart pounding as she tried to peer through the layers of gathering bodies. Her pulse quickened when she caught a glimpse of an overturned car, glass glimmering like shattered diamonds scattered across the asphalt. A crowd had gathered, murmuring in disbelief, faces painted with a mix of shock and curiosity. What happened? Helen called, trying to make herself heard over the tide of voices. But no one answered. Their focus was too keen on the spectacle unfolding outside. Zara's thoughts raced, gnawing at her mind. Had someone crashed intentionally? Could it somehow be connected to her? The bracelet felt heavier on her wrist, the metal cool against her skin but carrying an unnerving weight, an omen of danger. What secrets did it still hold that could resonate violently with her present? Stay back! A voice boomed from the crowd, and Zara's stomach twisted. A man in a black jacket stepped forward, his expression a stark mix of determination and urgency. Everyone needs to clear the area. This could be dangerous. Derek's hand tightened on Zara's shoulder, grounding her. We should get out of here, Zara, he urged, his voice steady but laced with concern. We don't know what is going on. But the urge to witness her fate was overwhelming. What if this chaos held the answers she sought, the truths about her family, her legacy? What if it unveiled Judith's game? She shook her head, the decision painfully wedged in her mind. Ignoring Derek's pleas, Zara leaned further against the window, straining to hear through the whispers. We need to get the police here! Another voice yelled, despair coloring its tone. Someone screamed, and the crowd erupted into panic. As pieces of the scene fell together in her head, a chilling realization emerged. It didn't matter who was carrying the truth about the bracelet anymore. It meant nothing if she couldn't keep herself safe. The bracelet had always been a token of family pride, a remembrance of where she came from. Now, it felt like a neon sign, attracting danger like a moth to flame. Zara! Derek's pleading expression broke her trance. Please, we have to go. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, tall, menacing, and undeniably familiar. Judith's eyes gleamed as she stepped into the fray, her face a canvas of amusement masked by full concern. "What an interesting turn of events," she drawled, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Looks like the night is just beginning." Zara's breath caught. What was Judith playing at? Did she know something more about the chaos unfolding outside? Her mind raced back to the secrets she wouldn't let slip, even in the face of danger. Judith had made it clear that Zara's history was tied into far more than simple family drama. "Judith, this isn't a game," Zara snapped, her voice finally breaking through the fog of fear. "You're the last person I want to see right now." Judith merely smiled, a slow, slithery grin that sent icy chills down Zara's spine. "Oh, Zara. I think you'll find it's just beginning. Secrets have a way of making themselves known, don't they?" The crowd surged closer to the car, gasps and horrified shouts filling the air, drowning out everything else. As Zara glimpsed the scene outside, her heart dropped. Men in dark clothing were moving through the chaos, pushing people aside. What were they looking for? And why did they seem so intent? Derek tugged at her arm, urgency threading through his voice. "Zara, now!" But all she could think about was the bracelet. The connection to her grandmother was emerging from the shadows, and now, a terrifying knot of fear gripped her heart. If what lay ahead was as dangerous as it felt, the truths she could expose might be the only chance she had to protect herself. And then it dawned on her, what if this chaos was just the beginning of a larger game? What if she were about to unravel more than just her family's secrets? The next moment could change everything. "Zara!" Derek's voice broke in, pulling her from her thoughts as everything teetered on the edge of collapse. What would she choose? And who would pay the price for her truth? The adrenaline pulsed through her veins, the answer swirling just out of reach. Zara's mind raced as the chaos unfolded outside. Crowded whispers were now drowning out even her thoughts, sharp edges piercing through the commotion. She felt the weight of the bracelet on her wrist pulling her back into twisted family ties she was desperate to understand. "Zara! We can't stay here!" Derek's urgent tone dragged her back, but she resisted his grip once more, her eyes flickering to the scene outside. The shadowy men were growing closer, their movements becoming more purposeful, their gazes hungry. The crowd continued to swell, an inexorable tide of fear and adrenaline. Someone shoved past her, breathless and screaming about men with guns. Panic rippled through the huddled masses as if choreographed by some unseen hand. Zara's heart raced, not just from fear but from the need to know. Judith stepped closer, her presence as suffocating as a summer's humidity. "You really don't get it, do you?" she said, amusement dancing in her eyes. "The truth is right in front of you. But sometimes," she leaned in like a conspirator, "you have to dig a little deeper to unearth it." "Stop it!" Zara shot back, anger replacing some of her fear. "This is not your game. People are in danger." Judith's smile vanished, replaced by a sharp, serious expression that turned Zara's stomach. "And you think your involvement changes that? You have no idea what's at stake." In a heartbeat, the crowd gasped again. A gunshot rang through the night, loud and harsh, the echo piercing her ears. A woman screamed, falling to the ground as chaos erupted anew. The dark-clad men surged forward, determination lighting their movements as they pushed through terrified bystanders. "Stay close to me," Derek said, strengthening his hold on her arm. "We need to get out now." But something held Zara's feet to the floor. The adrenaline surged, urgency blooming in her chest as she spotted one of the men approaching a girl who seemed frozen in terror. She wanted to scream, to pull the girl away, but she felt rooted, a fierce tug of recognition surfacing a face that mirrored her own fears. As the scuffle of feet and desperate shouts filled the air, Zara's eyes darted back to Judith, whose expression was unreadable. "What do they want?" Zara demanded. "Answers," Judith replied tersely, her tone cutting through the noise like a knife. "They think you have something. They believe it will lead them to what they seek." "What do you mean?" "The bracelet," Judith whispered, her glance sweeping toward the drawing fray. "It's more than just a trinket. It's a key to a legacy, and to secrets that some would kill for." The reality of Judith's words sunk in, but before Zara could respond, the men were closer, brutally pushing their way through, their eyes scanning the crowd with intent. Let us go. Derek pulled her harder now, but the weight of the bracelet felt like chains, holding her back. Zara! He shouted, desperation etched across his face. In that moment, the world narrowed to a single focus. She needed to understand, to grasp the truth that had led her here. If this was about her legacy, then there was no backing down. She was woven into this chaos now, but the sudden, gut-wrenching realization echoed in her mind as she watched the men advance. What if this was all connected to not just her bracelet, but to her family and to Judith herself? Zara, please! She turned to Derek, heart racing, indecision at her fingertips. Did she run, or did she stand and fight for the truth? The next moment could seal her fate. Would she find the courage to confront the darkness looming before her, or would she run from the demons trailing close behind? Zara stood poised on the edge of a choice that would define everything, and with that choice, a new wave of terror swept over her. What truth awaited her behind the curtain of chaos? The stakes were rising, and the night was far from over. The air grew heavier as Zara's mind spun like a tornado. Fear twisted around her thoughts, cocooning her in confusion and urgency. The crowd surged, a human wave desperate to escape the chaos that was about to swallow them whole. Zara! Derek's voice broke through her haze. We can't stay here. We have to move. But her legs felt glued to the spot, each heartbeat resounding louder than the last. She could see the men now, their dark silhouettes cutting through the crowd like sharks through water. They were moving with a purpose, eyes scanning every face, every terrified expression. What if they find out? Zara's voice trembled, barely audible even to herself. Judith stepped closer, her gaze fixed on the approaching figures, her earlier amusement replaced by a cold, sharp intensity. That's what they're after. Your bloodline, your truth. You need to trust me. Trust you? Zara interrupted, her voice rising with indignation. You're part of the problem. Just then, a deafening crash echoed from nearby, followed by another gunshot, sending ripples of fear slicing through the throng. People screamed, some pushing against Zara and Derek in sheer panic. Her heart raced, not just from fear, but from the weight of secrets unraveling around her. The girl who'd been frozen in fear was gone, swallowed by the fray, and Zara turned to find Derek. The look on his face sent a jolt of determination through her. They had no time. Let us go! Derek yelled once more, this time forcefully pulling her arm, inching her toward the edge of the crowd. But then Judith stepped in front of them, her eyes wide with urgency. You don't understand. If you run, you will be hunted. They're not just looking for you, they want the bracelet. You are in control, you need to wear it like armor. Zara's eyes flicked to the bracelet, the glimmer of the stones now a beacon of danger. How could something that had been nothing but an inheritance suddenly become a weapon against her? Armor, she whispered, testing the word on her tongue. Derek tugged gently at her sleeve, his worry palpable. This is madness. We have to go. Now. Madness? Or destiny? Judith challenged, her voice firm. What's at stake goes far beyond us. Far beyond your safety. Zara shook her head, frustration boiling over. You're playing mind games. You think this is some kind of a family drama? This is real, Judith. Zara, focus! Derek interjected, urgency igniting his words. They're closing in. Please! With a surge of clarity, Zara felt the weight of the bracelet morph into something else. She wasn't just a pawn in someone else's game anymore. She was part of the history that had been hidden from her. Suddenly, with instinct roaring to life, she turned back to Judith. If they're looking for answers, maybe I'm meant to give them one. The words tasted daring, charged with the adrenaline of potential. Derek's face paled as he processed her declaration, unease rippling across his features. Zara, don't. We can't risk you. But before he could finish, the men, fierce and resolute, advanced, confidently pushing through the crowd. Zara's heart thudded wildly, anticipation mingling with terror, as she steeled herself for whatever came next. Stand back! She shouted, echoing her battle cry as the world around her dimmed. Judith's expression shifted, a glimmer of approval mingled with skepticism. "You've never been trained for this, Zara. You're not ready." "Then let us see how ready I can become," she snapped, her resolve hardening like steel. With the bracelet radiating warmth on her wrist, she stepped forward, daring the shadows that hunted her. As the nearest man reached out with steady hands, the bracelet throbbed fiercely, a powerful energy pulsing against her skin. A gasp broke from the crowd, an electric moment of silence. Zara stood poised, determination tracing her silhouette against the chaos. "Let us see what secrets this armory holds," she whispered, the words lost in the ensuing roar, setting the stage for what was to come. But as she prepared to challenge the darkness, a chilling realization swept through her. What if the truth she was invoking was more dangerous than the chaos she faced? What if uncovering her past meant losing everything she held dear? With the faces of those she loved flashing in her mind, Zara took a bold breath. "Show me." And as she did, the very ground she stood on trembled ominously. What awaited her on the other side of this decision was a mystery she had yet to uncover. As her voice echoed into the chaos, Zara's heart raced faster, vibrating with a mix of dread and exhilaration. The world around her blurred. The crowd's panic faded into a muted background as she felt the weight of eyes hungry, searching fixed on her. The man closest to her, shrouded in darkness, paused. A flicker of uncertainty crossed his face, just for an instant, before he pushed through the tide of bodies nearing them. Zara held her breath, a bead of sweat droplets sliding unceremoniously down her temple. Behind her, Derek's grip on her arm tightened, a lifeline amidst the storm. "What are you doing?" he hissed, his urgency wrapped in anxiety. "You can't confront them like this." But she didn't answer. The pulse of the bracelet intensified, sending a shockwave of energy through her. She could almost hear its whisper, urging her forward. Just then, with a swift motion, the shadowy figure lunged, and in that moment, instinct took over. Zara raised her arm, bracelet exposed. The stones flickered with a blinding light, illuminating the space around her. The crowd gasped collectively, stunned by the sudden eruption of brilliance. It wasn't just a bracelet. It was a beacon, a force that electrified the air. The energy radiated from her. It collided with the approaching figure. He froze, eyes widening in disbelief as he was struck by an invisible barrier, thrown back against the crowd. What the Derek's voice broke through, a mix of awe and fear. "What just happened?" Judith, standing off to the side, watched with narrowed eyes, analytical and intrigued. "You've tapped into its power," she murmured, almost to herself. "This is just the beginning, Derek. We need to get out of here." Zara uttered, the urgency pulling at her gut. The crowd now swirled around them like a tempest, the atmosphere charged with alarm and confusion. She felt the bracelet throbbing, its warmth a stark contrast to the chill of impending danger. "No! You can't just run now," Judith insisted, her fierce determination surfacing again. "You have to learn to control it. You're just scratching the surface." But control felt elusive. Zara's thoughts spiraled as she pondered the implications of her newfound ability. Was she really in charge, or was the bracelet commanding her? As she scanned the room, adrenaline pumping, she caught sight of two more figures pushing through the crowd, their intentions dark and clear. They were larger, more menacing, their eyes set on her with a singular purpose. What if this power forced her into a battle she wasn't ready for? Would it consume her or liberate her? The internal struggle clawed at her. "Zara!" Derek shouted, pulling her back as their dark pursuers closed in. "We need to think. If you don't know how to wield that thing, it will be our downfall." A flicker of doubt brushed against her resolve. But there was something else brewing inside her, a deep-seated anger, the kind that demanded action. "Maybe I don't need to know everything just yet," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "Maybe I just need to unleash it." As the men surged forward, Zara braced herself, the light from her bracelet suddenly refracting the shadows around her. Fear twisted through her stomach, but with that fear came a heady rush of power. She stepped forward, ready to confront whatever darkness awaited her, ready to forge her path. Then, with a palpable crackle in the air, she raised her arm high, summoning all her courage. "Come on then!" she yelled defiantly. But what had begun as defensive had now ignited into something more chaotic. As the shadows approached and the crowd parted in fear, Zara's heart raced. Could she control the storm that was about to break? The ground shifted beneath them again, this time more ferociously. Zara's world felt precarious. What would unleash from the bracelet's depths could change everything or destroy it all. And just as the nearest man lunged forward, a deep voice cut through the madness. "Zara!" She turned sharply, hope and dread warring inside her. It was someone from her past, a face she recognized, a face she thought was gone forever. "Why are you here?" she gasped, the realization sinking in. What did this mean for her fight ahead? And why did he come now, at the brink of her revelation? As questions spiraled, a hushed anticipation fell over the crowd once more, leaving Zara standing at the center of the eye of her storm on the verge of another truth unraveling. Zara's eyes widened, the world around her fading into a blur again as recognition washed over her. The visage stirred a whirlwind of emotions, memories surging forth like an ocean tide. "Ethan?" she whispered, breath caught in her throat. The man who had changed everything, who had made her believe in magic and possibility. He stood there, framed by the chaotic backdrop, his eyes locked onto hers, drawing her in. "You have to listen to me," he insisted, urgency lacing his tone. But before she could respond, the two figures closing in on her resumed their advance, the shadows elongating like claws ready to snatch her away. "Get down!" Derek shouted as he pushed past Zara, throwing himself into the path of the nearest attacker. Zara felt a surge of panic. Instead of fleeing, she instinctively held her ground, the pull of the bracelet slithering through her veins. In that moment, the light from the bracelet pulsed anew, emitting a crushing wave of energy. She raised her arm again, the stones flickering with intensity. "Stay back!" she cried, desperation lacing her voice. Ethan's face paled as he surveyed the scene. "Zara, you don't know what they want. The bracelet, it's not just a trinket. You have to control it, please." "I can't!" she yelled back, voice breaking. "It's more powerful than me." The ground shook again, sending vibrations through her feet, grounding her momentarily. She could feel the darkness around her pressing in, thick and suffocating. Then an explosion of light erupted from her bracelet, casting an ethereal glow that repelled the advancing figures, forcing them backward. The crowd gasped anew, and for a heartbeat silence enveloped the room, awareness stretching like a taut string ready to snap. A cut across her arm burned, pulling Zara's attention. Blood dripped down her wrist, a stark contrast to the radiant power of the bracelet. Panic tightened its grip around her chest. Was she risking everything for a power she couldn't even harness? Would this mark her as a target, drawing even more darkness to her? "Zara, you're stronger than you think," Ethan's voice echoed, reaching her as if through a fog. "Trust yourself." A flicker of defiance ignited within her. Just then, the figures stumbled, the shadows retreating, and with one last surge of will, she shot another pulse of energy toward them. It surged through her limbs, manifesting in a sacred wave, crashing into the men. They screeched like tortured souls, momentarily stunned, but not defeated. Derek was still in their line of sight. He surged forward again, eyes blazing with determination. "We can't let them escape," he shouted, but Zara felt a gut-wrenching twist of hesitation. Who were these men, really? Why did they want her? As if reading her mind, Ethan stepped closer. "Zara, I will explain everything, but you have to trust me. The bracelet is more than an artifact, it's a key to what's coming." "Coming?" she exclaimed, confusion twisting with a surge of adrenaline. "No time," Derek interjected, eyes darting. "We need a plan. If we don't work together, we're all done for." With the men slowly recovering their footing, something in the air shifted. Zara's heart thumped in her chest, fury surging alongside fear. She faced Ethan again. "What do you know?" "Everything, but there's no time to explain. Just trust me." He took a bold step closer, the shadows closing in around them once more, hanging in the charged air like storm clouds ready to burst. Zara's pulse raced, a storm of questions swirling in her mind. Could she really trust him again? Would the magic of the bracelet, and whatever unlocked within it, be enough? The darkness pressed in from all sides, whispers of dread coiling like slick serpents. With their backs against the chaos, would they stand together against the oncoming storm, or would answers elude them once more? As the shadows surged forward, threatening to consume her world anew, Zara's vision flickered between resolve and uncertainty. Could she unleash the true power of the bracelet? Before she could decide, the figures lunged through the chaos, one hand raised in a defiant gesture, as if challenging her very existence. And at that moment, Zara realized this was only the beginning. The chaos around Zara reached a cacophonic crescendo, a tempest of shouting and fear pushing in on her from all angles. But at that moment, something inside her ignited. She could feel the weight of her history, the pulse of the bracelet wrapping around her wrist like a warm embrace, urging her forward, reminding her of her grandmother's strength. Zara! Derek's voice snapped her back just enough. She shot him a glance that screamed defiance, a mix of determination and the fiery fear that surged through her blood. The shadowy figures advanced, their intent lethal, but as their dark silhouettes moved closer, Zara felt drawn to something far greater than fear. This was about legacy, her legacy. With a deep breath, she raised her arm once more. "Stay back," she warned. A sudden bolt of energy surged through her, the bracelet radiating power that pulsed in waves. Light exploded from her wrist, a stunning brilliance illuminating the entire room. They all gasped, including the shadowy figures, momentarily disoriented by the glow. As she stood there, a fierce warmth radiated from the bracelet. It wasn't just an adornment. It was a burden lifted, a testament to her ancestors fighting for survival, a lifeline binding the past to the present. For the first time, she felt not just fear but empowerment coursing through her. "Zara, please focus," Ethan urged, concern etched into his features. "You can control this. Remember what you learned." "Learned?" she echoed, struggling to reconcile her memories with the chaos now surrounding her. "You think I was just going to let that slip away?" Derek stepped forward, his brow furrowed with determination. "Then show us what you can do." "Together." Zara felt a flicker of thought spark. Together. She wasn't alone in this. The voices of her ancestors, the warmth of Derek's touch, and Ethan's presence all melded into one powerful force, locking her in place. The shadows were still closing in, desperate and dark, but that moment of unity shifted her perspective. In that heartbeat, she began to feel the energy swirl in a dance, activating her resolve. "What do you need me to do?" she breathed into the chaos. "Draw upon that power." "Release it," Ethan shouted, his voice like a beacon. "You are stronger than this darkness." With that, she channeled her energy, her emotions harnessing the truth of her heritage, feeling her grandmother's whisper lifting her spirits. Zara pushed forward, channeling every ounce of her will. "I am Zara!" she cried out, the words echoing around her. "I am not a pawn, I am a force!" The brilliance exploded around her, enveloping her in a cocoon of light. The shadowy figures shrieked, recoiling from her as if repelled by her very existence. She was not afraid anymore. The magic that surged from her bracelet was both terrifying and empowering. One of the figures lunged forward again, but this time Zara stood firm, raising her sparkling arm in defiance. The energy released was fierce, wrapping around them in a powerful wave, sending them crashing back against the walls. "Leave us!" she cried, and with every ounce of conviction, she propelled the energy outward. A shockwave radiated through the room, dispersing the shadows that had loomed over her. The figures stumbled, and suddenly, everything went dead silent. One shadow, however, lingered, stubborn and defiant. Judith stood frozen, her expression a mix of awe and simmering rage. "This isn't over," she spat, but the light crackled even brighter, igniting a spark of fear in her eyes. "This is just the beginning," Zara shot back, her own power commanding the room. a line drawn in the sand. The crowd, having witnessed the devastating shift of power, erupted with murmurs of disbelief, some even cheering, emboldened by Zara's courage. "What just happened?" Derek gasped, sweat lining his brow. You controlled it. You did it! We need to keep moving before they regroup." Zara felt a rush of energy still coursing through her, yet with it came clarity. "No," she said softly, her resolve settling into purpose. "I can't run anymore. This is my fight." Ethan stepped forward, pride glimmering in his eyes. "We'll fight with you, but we need to prepare. There is so much more at stake than just this moment." The shadows may have scattered, but Zara knew they would return, and now she had the strength to face any darkness that dared to approach. "Then let's make sure they know this bracelet is a shield and a sword. I'm ready for whatever comes next." As she spoke those words, infused with newfound strength, the room shifted once more. It was clear, this was not just a confrontation but a reckoning, a chapter of her story that would pave the way for others. Now she wasn't just Zara, she was a warrior of her legacy, and she wouldn't back down. Not now. Not ever. With the promise of a new dawn shimmering on the horizon, the tension still hung palpably in the air, but so did the anticipation of resolve. Together, they would venture into the fray, emerging not just stronger but transformed, and as they turned to face the unknown, her hand resting confidently over the bracelet, Zara knew she had finally begun to write her own story. Don't miss the next pulse-pounding chapter of Zara's journey. You need to subscribe now so you can stay in the loop with this incredible saga. Smash that like button now to unleash the algorithm magic that brings these stories to life. Flood the comments section with your reactions, theories, and insights about Zara's powerful reveal. And please, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support and embrace the unfolding drama. Don't wait even one more second to share.